Hi, my name's David Knee. I'm the Chief Investment Officer at Prudential, and I'm here once again with Dr. Mike Posthumus.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Hope you've been training over the festive season.
Yes, because PE to Plett's now just a few weeks away, and you're in the kind of last stages of getting yourself ready. Today we're here on the trails and we're going to be looking at some of the things that can go wrong with your bike whilst you're out riding and how to fix those.
And we're also going to be showing you exactly what to carry with you on the trails to be able to repair the most common mechanicals which might happen on the trails.
So there are certain key tools that you need to be carrying with you if you're going to be successful in implementing some of these trailside repairs. Mike, can you just talk us through what the kind of bare minimum of a kit is that you should be carrying with you so that you can actually implement, some of these fixes we're going to show people?
Yeah, well, we've actually packed out the bare minimum right here, and this is sort of the bare minimum you would want to go into a race with. Hopefully these are either in your back pocket or you can have them tied to your bike. For example, these bombs are easily just strapped with electrical tape to your seat post or to some part of your bike. These are straightforward, as I said, CO2 canisters which are to inflate your tires, especially after you've had a mechanical. We're going to show how to use the head adapter when we demonstrate that. You'd want a good multi-tool and ensure that the multi-tool contains all the bolts that might be needed on your bike. Some bikes have a lot of torques, and ensure that your tool has all the torques that are on your bike. So the torques are the little star-shaped Allen keys, and then ensure obviously that all the Allen keys are on your tool that you might need on your bike. So check that before you go. Ensure a good Allen key, or no, not a good, ensure that you also have a chain breaker, and this is a chain breaker, and we're going to show you how to use that to be able to fix chain issues. These are critically important. What these are plugs, so when you do get a hole in your tire, these are essential to be able to plug the hole so that you can continue riding without having to put in a tube. If all else fails, you'd want a tube to be able to continue riding. Spare plugs are always a good idea. I always ensure 2 loaded plug tools, and I'll explain why. This is a very useful tool that I always add to my back pocket. This is to get the nut off, specifically to get the tubeless valve core out if you do need to put in a tube. This is also able to tighten the inner valve core. It's a spare valve core, and there's a neat little tool if you ever need to open up your brake pads. If you do need to fix a chain, this is chain links, which we are also going to demonstrate how to use. And lastly, I forgot to mention the tire lever, which is essential to get a tire on and off if you are putting in a tube. As a backup, and this you can choose whether you do need it, a pump. Some or majority of folks prefer simply carrying bombs with them, but it might be a very nice backup if you require. Only alternatives that is not in this kit that I would recommend you carry with you is a derailleur hanger. So each hanger is specific to the bike, so go to your bike manufacturer and ensure that you have a derailleur hanger as well, because derailleur hangers are made to break. So if your bike falls on its derailleur, the derailleur hanger is designed to snap. So for those instances, it is a good idea to carry a spare derailleur hanger. And if you're racing a very muddy day, if it is going to be raining, pack some extra brake pads so that you can replace brake pads if you do go through them. But this is just the basics, which I would never enter a race without having these essentials on me. So we've just stopped along the trail here, and Dave has picked up something on his tire.
Oh golly gosh!
You can see that we have picked up a little hole. So the key now is that hole would have to be plugged. First is to actually see whether it would seal naturally, and we can see that just the sealant in the tire has already sealed it. but you can see that it's still bubbling, and we're going to assume that just spinning the tire and getting sealant through the hole is not going to be able to seal that hole. So Dave, can you just keep your finger on that? I'm going to get my plug out just to be able to show you worst case if we do need to plug this hole. So I've taken the plug out.
Any finger will do.
So release the hole. You need to ensure that you can see where the hole is. When you're in that hole, the tire needs to be hard for this. So if you've lost too much air, you might have to pump it before you do this, because you're going to need a hard tire to be able to get this plug through. Now it's already, there we go. Now, my biggest tip is ensure that you push it all the way in, because you don't want too much of the plug sticking out. Otherwise it's just going to be hitting your frame if it is on the back wheel. But anyway, it is on the front wheel, and there isn't really a frame that we have to deal with or worry about here on David's bike. So you want to twist it 90 degrees and then pull up, and there we go. So the plug is now inserted, and as you ride it will automatically seal, and it'll automatically flatten the plug that we have inserted. Okay, so we have plugged David's tire, and we have lost quite a little bit of air. So I'm going to just top it up a little bit by using the bomb, and I'm going to go through how to use this bomb. So first is to screw on the head adapter. Before you pop the seal, ensure that the head is closed. So you'll see it's the open and close. Ensure that it is closed, and then turn it very quickly so it goes past. So now it is ready to load. If you turn open, gas will exit the adapter head. So now you need to just unscrew your valve core. You screw on the adapter, pop in a little bit of air, screw it out, and voila, there we go. Ensure that you again just tighten your valve core again, and we have put in enough air and the perfect amount of air for David to be able to continue.
So sometimes it happens that the plug's not successful. Mike, what's the next step then if you still need to kind of continue the fix on your tire?
So assuming we need to put a tube in here, I'm going to take you through the steps needed to be able to successfully put a tube in here. Luckily, because of the lefty fork, we can work around it, and we don't need to take the wheel out of the frame. Normally, first step would be to take the wheel out of the frame. Next step would be, obviously the tire is going to be flat already. Next step is going to be to loosen this this nut. So this nut is currently holding this tubeless valve in. This nut needs to be screwed out, and quite often they well seized because they don't often get removed. So this is why this tool is very useful, just to get that nut off. So you would just push the nut on and turn it off. I'm not going to do that now, but the next step then is to actually get the tire off. So you will use this tire lever, and you'll use it to hook the tire bead off. You'll want to get a majority of the tire off, only one side. The next step then is to search the inside of the tire and run your fingers through the inside of the tire, and this is very important to ensure that there are no thorns sticking through. This tire would have gone through a lot of terrain already, and quite often there are existing thorns in the tire that would have been sealed up by your tubeless sealant. You need to ensure that all those thorns are out, otherwise you are immediately going to flat when you put a tube in. So the next step is to partially inflate your tube. This is required to ensure that it actually takes some sort of shape to be able to fit nicely onto your rim. So I'm just going to show you how to partially inflate. Now obviously you could use a bomb for this, but you would just want a little bit of air in, as I've done now. Just tighten that valve core again so that it has a little bit of shape. So what you need to do now is, if you haven't already taken out the valve core, pop out the valve core, the tire will be off. You're going to, first step is going to be pushing the tube valve core through there. Again, you'll tighten the nut. The partial amount of air in the tube is required just to seat it around the rim. Then you're going to use your tool again just to get the tire back onto the rim, obviously with a tube inside it. And then we are going to be inflating the tube again, and once that's inflated to an optimal pressure, you are ready to go and hit the trails again and continue your race. So now we're going to be showing you how to fix a chain. So I'm the brilliant partner. I'm riding with David. He's sitting on a nice tree catching some sun, and I'm going to show you now how to fix David's chain. So first step, normally when a chain snaps, it normally falls completely off the bike. So you normally have to deal with a chain that is not on your bike anymore. Normally it is snapped because one of the links are bent. Now first step is to show you how to actually remove one of the links, or specifically the link that is bent. So if there's a slight bend on this link, we need to actually remove that link, and that is why we need the chain breaker. So now we're going to be talking through how to actually remove the bent link, because as explained, normally there would be a bent link. You can see Dave must have struck a rock here, it popped that pin, and you can see there's certain damage to the chain. So now you need to actually remove the broken part of the chain so that you can mend it back together with your chain link. First point to remember is that, remember, your chain link is going to be the big bridge. So you want to cut this immediately after a small bridge. So you want to be cutting it either there or there, because you want to have your chain link replace a whole big bridge. So you don't want to cut it immediately after a big bridge. So you want to be cutting it there. So I'm going to insert the chain link. Got that here. Insert it through this pin. So now you need to make sure that everything's lined up. Once it's lined up, you got a nice grip on your chain tool, and you simply turn it through. Sometimes it needs a little bit of force. There, you heard it go, and the link has popped out. Just continue screwing it till it's completely out. You'll feel it go. Unscrew it, and your link is out, and this chain is now ready to join with your chain link. So let's go and route it through the bike and replace the chain now. Okay, so now once we have removed the bent link, we are going to go about putting this chain back on the bike, wiring it correctly, or rather placing it correctly around the derailleur. So step one is to actually put it around the crank. So you would want the link to actually be on top. So you would want to give enough chain so that you are eventually going to be adding the link on top here. So the rest of the chain can go through the bottom here. First step is to put it correctly. Now this is going to be in a reverse S shape, so it's going to go through the bottom. Then you're going to have to feed it through the top, and this is quite often on some derailleurs. Make sure that it goes correctly through and not over a little notch over there. There we go, and then that way around. And we are going to be joining the chain up top there. So to join it, we're going to be using this chain link. So very easy to use. Some chains, like the new Eagle chains, have a direction, so make sure you place them in the correct orientation with that shape. That will need to go through the top there. The other side would need to go through the bottom there. And then they simply piece together. So they've got two pieces. You need to ensure that going to hook, and you then need a little bit of pressure to be able to pop that. So for that pressure, I'm simply going to put the bike upright, ensure that it's on the cassette, and when I push down on the chain there, it pops correct. You can take the clutch off if you had taken the clutch off to do that, and voila, we are ready to go.
Thanks so much for watching this podcast. Hope you've learned something, and that you're going to be well prepared for PE to PLETT, that you can fix some of these kind of small mechanicals that might happen to you. Practice them before you get to the event. Certainly in terms of plugging a tyre and putting a tube in, you want to give that a go. If you don't know how to actually use a bomb, the compressed gas, then all havoc can break loose on the trail. Mike, thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. And we're going to see you in a week's time where we're going to be talking about how to taper for the event. So that is that last 10 to 7 days or 7 to 10 days just before the event, how to decrease your training load to ensure that you're ready to race and give your all on the day and perform at your best for the event.
Yeah, thanks Mike. And yeah, safe riding on the trails over the next few weeks. Keep the rubber side down, and we look forward to seeing you on the 6th of February.